Hello everybody, I haven't made an anime video in so long, but I've been watching some stuff here and there. I actually went back and finished Black Lagoon, Dandadan, started watching Shippuden. It's pretty cool. But you know, when I got home drunk from the bar one day, I typically like to end my nights watching some random anime like School Rumble or something really old like that. So I put on part 1 Naruto, just for the nostalgia, and decided to binge it, and I actually finished it, and Shippuden. And I will say, I came to a surprising conclusion that Naruto Part 1 is just better than Shippuden. At least to me. And I know half the viewers watching this are probably like, what? But it is definitely partly because of nostalgia. But like many others, I grew up watching Naruto when I was a kid. It's one of the first shows that really got me into anime. But nostalgia aside, I think the arcs in Part 1 are really, really good. And really do a great job just setting up the rest of the series. Even if Naruto didn't really do a great job of capitalizing it. But let me start this video off with what I like the most about Part 1. The themes. Early Naruto was all about hard work beating talent. From the jump, Naruto was the underdog. Nobody respected him in the academy. He had to grind to learn his Shadow Clone Jutsu, and the whole village basically saw him as a joke. But he ended up putting in the work and gaining the respect later on as the series went on. Like, one of the most pivotal moments of this series is him being Neji, who at the time was the prodigy of the Leaf. Yeah, he used a Nine-Tails chakra to help, sure, but still, the message was clear that hard work can't be natural-born talent. And another example of that is Lee. The man can't even use ninjutsu or genjutsu. He's got zero clan backing him up, but through pure effort, he becomes one of the strongest taijutsu fighters in the entire village. And eventually the verse, I'd argue. And that fight against Gaara, arguably one of the best fights, easily. Even though he loses, he proves that grit and determination can take you toe-to-toe with someone who inherited insane power. Another great example is Rock Lee, right? The man literally can't use ninjutsu or genjutsu, barely has chakra. Joking. He has zero clan to hype him up behind him, but through pure effort, he becomes one of the strongest taijutsu fighters in the entire village. And that fight against Gaara, that still is like one of the most memorable fights to me in the whole series. Even though he loses the fight, you know, he still proves that the grit and determination can take you toe-to-toe with someone who inherited an insane power like Gaara with the Jinchuriki. But these are just like one of the like bigger pieces of like how. Oh, and speaking of Neji, his whole character arc in Part 1 is built around this idea of destiny versus free will. Because Neji believes fate is fixed and you're born into your role, but Naruto's like, nah, bro. You decide your own fate. You decide your own path. And that whole message of you control your future, that was Naruto at its core. And to be real, Shippuden kind of throws some of these themes out of the window, but I'll get to that later. Part 2, the arcs. Now let's talk the arcs. Part 1 has like 5 canon arcs, but the reason they hit so hard is because they're concise, focused, and not broken up by a million different filler episodes, but they just flow really well together. And I'll start with the most obvious one first, that I think is really the most pivotal one for me, is just the Chunin exams. The Chunin exams is just iconic. The arc is basically a blueprint for every modern shonen tournament. If you've seen My Hero, Fairy Tail, Hunter x Hunter, whatever, hell, even Frieren has a version of this type of arc, establishing power through combat and kind of ranking them from there. But behind like the tournament hype, the Chunin exams just gave us a lot of character development. Sasuke, cocky as ever, gets humbled. We meet Orochimaru, Gaara, the rest of the Konoha 12, and the clan dynamics come into play here. And then there's the assassinator of the third Hokage, making Orochimaru one of the scariest villains in the series at the time. But my favorite arc, undisputed, is the Sasuke retrieval arc. I think this is the best arc in Naruto in general, Shippuden included. This arc is just pure fire. Even look at the opening song. That opening shot of the squad standing ready, Shikamaru, Neji, Choji, Kiba all just danced up, cold. And the build-up's great too. The Sasuke's whole breakdown after getting bodied by Itachi, his inferiority complex with Naruto, and then losing it after their fight at the hospital rooftop. It's just a great build-up to why he left to go after Itachi, and why he left for Orochimaru. It just makes sense. And honestly, in general, Sasuke's personality and just has a lot of character. Sasuke has a really strong narrative in Part 1. And the best part about this arc is really the other characters finally get their time to shine. Choji, Neji, Kiba, Shikamaru, they all have their moment in this arc. And sad to say, a lot of their best fights in the entire series and best moments actually come from this arc and this mission. It's also Shikamaru's first mission as a Chunin, and almost everyone dies. So really, it's just a great arc. And honestly, the fights in this arc are really tactical and requires a high level of strategic combat for them to win. Basically, the entire Sound 4 or 5 are individually stronger than who they're matched up against. So for them to either win the fight or survive, in some cases, quite a lot of game planning and thinking that reminded me a lot of the fights you see from Hunter x Hunter. And this quote says a lot because you really remember the 5 of them are basically putting their life on the line for a guy that most of them don't really like or kind of feel indifferent about, and just speaks volumes on the connection
all the same,
that the village really put on them.
Hidden Leaf Village. He's
and
a
of course,
comrade,
all ends with Naruto
and I'll put my life on the line to help
Valley.
That's
Probably
the
the best
way
fight in
of
the
our
series up
village.
to this point, at least. And Naruto loses, but you know, it kind of sets him on this path to turn into Jiraiya and get stronger, and it's a perfect way to end part 1. Now, I did not watch any of the filler past this point, so like my review of part 1 is completely separate from any of the filter past that last fight in the last arc. Alright, now on to Shippuden. Now to be fair, Shippuden does some stuff really well. Like the opening scene of Shippuden, fire. Right away it's like, where's Sasuke? And we get this eerie search mission that finally introduces him with the steps. You hear that sound? Some of my favorite arcs in Shippuden was like the Tenchi Bridge arc, Hiden Kakazu, and the Pain arc. Pain arc's one of my favorite arcs in all of Naruto, including part 1. I think it's one of the most complete arcs, sets the stage of, you know, just a coming of age for Naruto in general. And Shippuden just also expands the world in a way part 1 didn't. We learn about the ninja wars, the politics between the villages, and we finally see Naruto hit Hokage. Hokage level strength at least, to be fair. But you know, Nagato's Pain is one of the best villains in the series, if not the best villain in the series. And he directly challenges Naruto's philosophy. It's just a real growth of character for Naruto, and this is an arc where, you know, not that the villains don't directly fight Naruto's mentality and his like way of life, but like Nagato directly fought against everything that Naruto believed in. Hell, and on the opposite end, we finally get the Uchiha backstory, the Itachi reveal, and all that lore surrounding the Uchiha in general. And we do this through exploring Sasuke and what he's doing outside of the leaf and stuff. I do like that through Sasuke's lens, we do see a different side of like Naruto we wouldn't have seen if we just followed Naruto. But ultimately, like Shippuden makes the world feel bigger, definitely, but sometimes it's just less grounded as a result, and that's where some of the problems just creep in. Alright, let's talk what I didn't like on the rewatch. Yeah, the filler is pretty bad. I basically skipped all of it. I tried watching some of it, but some of it is just unbearable. And you really start to notice it in Shippuden, because they interconnect the stories, the actual canon story with the filler, because I believe the manga was catching up. Yeah, you heard the filler point 100 times, so I'm not gonna reiterate it. The filler sucks. Let's move on. But beyond that, and this is a hot take, I was not the biggest fan of Sasuke in Shippuden. Now, do I get his character arc? Yes. Do I get his personality? Yes. Does it mean I have to like it? No. And bro went from like a cocky genius, or prodigy even, well, he wasn't a genius, I'll backtrack that. But a prodigy that we see in part 1 with an attitude, right? He has some punk to him, fine. But he's pretty like caring in a sense, and I'm not saying Sasuke is boring because he's not caring. I'm just saying that Sasuke is boring in Shippuden because he basically turns into a borderline silent edgelord. And I get it. I get why he's like that. But just make it super enjoyable. He's isolated, he's surrounded by Orochimaru, and he's hyper focused on revenge, sure. But it makes it kind of boring, man. He's kind of one note all the time. Who's just tired of seeing so much anime who do like the edgelord, silent kind of type. I am probably tired of that, to be fair. But on a rewatch, it was just like, damn, can you say like one more thing, bro? He's just like, Sugetsu, lock in. and he's just like super short every time he talks to somebody. It doesn't add anything. Only time he has personality, honestly, is when he's like way too cocky and he tries to fight like Killer Bee and he gets his ass whooped. That's enjoyable though, you know, that's enjoyable. Or he attacks the Kage summit and he's like just shitting on everybody. That's fun. I need more of that from Sasuke, not just one note, like 2 lines, and that's basically it. Yeah, and like, the only time he really pops off is when he has these really big fights where he's a little more expressive. But other than that, man, like, he's boring as fuck. And I get it. I do get it. Sasuke is a pretty complicated character. I'm not saying he's not. Layered guy. There's a lot of onions to peel back with Sasuke, of course. But now, a lot of the time in Shippuden, he just feels kind of one note and just a little boring. And the biggest problem with Shippuden, my biggest problem, just that it completely contradicts the themes that was established in part 1. In the beginning, Naruto taught us that hard work beats talent, that you forge your own path when everyone's against you, just still away. Then Shippuden pulls actually, Naruto and Sasuke are reincarnations of ancient demigods. Card. So yeah, they work hard, but they're literally destined for greatness. So, kind of kills the whole underdog vibe, no? It's like Kishimoto started writing a coming-of-age underdog story and decided, nah, let's make it about gods and wars and aliens, not about ninjas and child soldiers. Okay, and what happened to the Konoha 12? Like, actually, they are barely in the story in Shippuden. And there's gonna be somebody commenting, oh, but that's not even true. They help in the war and they do this. Outside of like 2 plot points, like in the beginning with like the Gara retrieval thing, outside of that, most of the Konoha 12 don't really do much in Shippuden. Like, I did like that in the Sasuke retrieval arc and in the tuning exams. Everyone kind of has their own time to shine. In Shippuden, Ino, Tenten, Shino, they're background characters at best. Even Hinata barely gets screen time until the Pain arc. And then after that, she kind of gets like put back in the story to introduce the Momoshikis and how her and Naruto get married. But besides that, she's like barely in the story. Basically, Kishimoto only cared about Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, and Shikamaru. Really. I guess Jiraiya and them. But besides that, everybody else is just extras. And finally, leads me to part 7. Kaguya. Why Kaguya? Alright, why was Kaguya the final boss? Madara was set up for hundreds of episodes, only to get body snatched by Zetsu and replaced by a literal space god with no personality. And I hate that trope when gods have like just no personality. I just think it's just such a cop-out and like lazy. Yeah, so I said what I said. I do like part 1 more of it, Shippuden. Overall, like, not saying I dislike Shippuden. I do think Shippuden has a lot of the bigger fights that we do remember in all the world building aspects. A lot of retcons though, and part 1 to me just felt a little more clean cut and kind of tighter and more grounded in that sense. And a lot of the themes are still present early on, and it makes more sense to me, at least. I just think the further Shippuden got along, the wackier it got. Like, Naruto and Sasuke basically became gods at the end. But I still liked it, man. It was fun to, you know, pretty nostalgic to rewatch everything and kind of get that back in top of mind. But let me know what y'all think, man. I know this is going to be a pretty heated comment section, I bet. So let me know your thoughts. Did you prefer part 1 or Shippuden? And what's your favorite moment of Naruto, or favorite arc at least? Let me know. Either way, I'm glad I rewatched it. And till next time, guys.